Hi, I'm Brad Teare, and I wanted to let everybody know about a new video I just made and posted on my Gumroad store. It's about glazing and scumbling, and this is a topic that many books treat rather superficially, and I wanted to just do a little bit more of an in-depth look at how to glaze and scumble. This will be especially interesting to those of you who paint with a lot of impasto, a lot of thick texture in your paint. I cover glazing and scumbling and some of the pitfalls and things to avoid and things to emphasize as you glaze. Now, glazing was something I've always known about, I always loved. I liked Maxfield Parrish when I was a kid and was intrigued by his glazing process, but I never really got a handle on it until just recently. And so I've packed all the things I've learned in the last couple decades into this one video. I'm going to give you some highlights here and in a few seconds, and I hope that you find this video useful and enjoyable. We hear a lot about glazing, but a lot of people might not know why a painter might want to glaze. There are several reasons that you will want to glaze, and one of the principal ones is if you've painted a passage and the brushstrokes are very beautiful and spontaneous, but maybe it has some problems. Well, you can adjust those problems by glazing. Paint, we can add little bits of value shifts within a major area. For example, the sky. You don't want your value shifts to vary too much within a sky, or it can look kind of odd. And it's just a very handy tool. Now, scumbling is different. Where glazes are like layers of color over each other. You might think of them as stained glass, one over the top. Now, behind me is the painting that we're going to be correcting. Now, before you go into glaze a painting, you want to be able to understand what is wrong with that painting. Overall, this painting isn't working too badly. The area I like the best is the sky, and the reason for that is it has a shift to it. Here are the pigments I will be using. I would only add linseed oil if I wanted to slow down the drying time, and I would keep the linseed oil to a minimum. I've got to get it more transparent. There we go. Okay. So this is working pretty good, but I need to push it back even further. So I did decide that the background foliage just has too much value variation in it, and I want to unify the values a little bit, so I'm dropping down the lighter. Now, by softening edges, what I'm doing is I'm just dropping the value of the edge. So here's the original, and we can see the colors are pretty flat. The basic shapes are very flat. Very few things are really turning very well. And of course, those two tree trunks are terrible. So let's see how it transitions over to the new image. The tree trunks are solved. I think that looks much better. The basic light and dark pattern is much better. It has some areas that could be improved. Okay, the orange here, it's very flat. There's no transition. It's a yellow light, just almost straight. There we go. So, and that gives me a cooler yellow. Yeah, I like that. If you don't overdo it, it can be a very unifying effect. See, that's dropping that value down a little bit up there, and that's making that work. Just got a little too much, so we go back in and we start. So here's the original, and you can see it's got some good brush strokes, but it's a little washed out. And here's the glazed version. It just has richer color, more saturated color, and the brush strokes are more or less the same. So it's a win-win situation. In this next painting, I'm going to be mixing up some scumbles. By that I mean I'm going to be adding white to the medium. Primers used to add a little zinc white. I try to avoid zinc white. There's some cracking problems with zinc. It seems like I got it about right. It's kind of a watery mixture. It's just very... now I'm going to pick up just a little more white. I can't see it on camera. I have just a touch of ultramarine blue.